what we are going to do, or at least what I am going to do right now, is we are going to, or I am going to, I say we because I'm used to having my co host here. I am going to be making my predictions for this Sunday's NXT Great American Bash PL. So, the Great American Bash is coming to us live from the Performance Center in Orlando. And I don't know if Kilt is going to the Great American Bash. I hope he is because it is within the area, but we shall see how that turns out, honestly. So, should be some good stuff. But the way that predictions work here at BC WrestlePod is that we are now currently in season 2 of our predictions league. So, what that means is that for NXT, our prediction season goes from it goes from the first PLE after Stand and Deliver, which is Great American Bash, and so for the season 2 predictions league, we will be going back from here from Great American Bash all the way to next year's Stand and Deliver. So this is going to be interesting. We're going to have a good time. We are going to be doing a post show for Great American Bash, but it will not be happening until 2 weeks time as I will be on vacation, so to speak, next week. So when I come back from vacation, Kilt and I will be here to do a post show for Great American Bash. And then we'll also talk about quickly the NXT episode that's going to be happening next Tuesday. But without further ado, let's get into our predictions. So we have 7 matches to talk about. So I am really going to quickly talk about the match, how we got here, and my prediction, and why I think that. So we're going to start out. These matches are in no particular order. So I am actually we're going to start with Shiloh Hill versus Tristan Angels. Again, this match has been made official for Great American Bash. And the story as how we got to this match is that the last couple of weeks, Tristan Angels and Shiloh Hill have been fighting about, technically speaking, who is the better man and who should represent the NXT brand. Thus, we had a match. Then that led to the Mr. NXT pageant in which Shiloh Hill won. Tristan Angels, being a sore loser, would attack Shiloh Hill. And thus, Shiloh would get a little bit of a payback from distracting and costing Tristan Angels his match against Aaron Rourke in this week's episode for the Men's Evolve Championship. And thus, technically speaking, I feel like this is the rubber match. Now, I am going to go with Shiloh Hill because I think ultimately, I think that NXT really loves him as a babyface. I don't foresee like the most optimal route to keep this feud going. I think that this was a nice, smaller feud for Shiloh and Tristan. And I'm going to go with Shiloh Hill on this one. I think that ultimately he's going to win this after getting attacked by Tristan at the end of the Mr. NXT pageant. And I think that this should be it. And I'm hoping that we could see Shiloh and Tristan move on to different things. But I'm locking in Shiloh Hill for this match. Next one is the match between Saquon Sugars and Dion Lennox. Again, this is kind of a grudge match. And how we got here is that after unsuccessfully being able to gain the NXT Tag Team Championships against the Vanity Project boys, Dark State, specifically Dion Lennox, Osiris, and Mr. Curtis, so to speak, or Cutler, I should speak, not Curtis, they threw Saquon Sugars out of Dark State. They powerbombed him through the table. And over the last couple of weeks, Saquon has been taking out the rest of the members of Dark State. He took out Cutler, he took out Osiris, which left him and Saquon wanted a match with Dion Lennox at Great American Bash. Dion accepted. We got the promo between the two of them this week in the ring, and we are going to have this match at Great American Bash. Now, in all honesty, Dion is probably slated to win this because I think that we're going to continue this feud. But man, I've been really behind Saquon Sugar, so I am going to go with Saquon here for this match. I think Saquon has more momentum winning this match than losing it. If they are going to extend this feud throughout the rest of the summer, then I can definitely see them giving it to Dion. But I'm going to go with Saquon because I think Saquon should win this one, honestly. And I think it would do really good for him to win this match. Alrighty, next up, we're going to talk about this one. This is the WWE Women's Speed Championship. So this is going to be Ren Sinclair defending the WWE Women's Speed title against Ariana Grace, who has officially won this number one contenders tournament and thus has earned the right to this match. Now, I love Ren to death. However, because it's Ariana Grace and knowing all the shenanigans that Birthright does, I actually am going to go with Ariana here. I think that her and Kendall, who I'm going to talk about when we get to that match, I think her and Kendall are not going to be walking out as champions. So I actually am going to go with Ariana Grace to become the new WWE Speed Women's Champion. Next up, we'd have our Women's North American Championship match. So this is a rematch. Zarya, who took the title off of Tatum Paxley not too long ago, about 2 weeks ago, is having a rematch against Tatum Paxley. And as much as I would love to Tatum to get this title back, I think it is officially Zarya's time now for a championship run in NXT. So as much as it hurts me to bet against Tatum Paxley, I am going to pick Zarya to retain here. I think that we just have gotten started with her championship reign. And so I think that defeating Tatum is a really good way to start that off because you put down the person you took it from in the contractual, rematch obligation. And I think we're going to see Zarya run this division for for the next couple of months or so. So I got Zarya retaining the championship here. Speaking of North American Championship matches, we now move on to the men's one, which is a match I'm really looking forward to. Miles Bourne versus Tavion Heights. So after the last couple of weeks with Miles and Tavion kind of teaming together a little bit, and Tavion becoming the number one contender after beating Jackson Drake, this match and this is built upon, two friends, two brothers that have been torn apart by everything. Tavion feels like he's been left in the dust. Miles feels like he's lost a friend because of the championship. And I think this is going to be a really good match. Now, I do believe that Tavion should be the one to take the title off of Miles, but I do not think it should be now. I think Tavion should take it off of Miles down the road. So I have Miles Bourne retaining the championship here. I do think Tavion should be the next NXT Men's North American Champion, but I don't see him taking the title on this one. I could see it maybe at like a No Mercy or a Halloween Havoc, but I think Miles still has some juice left in the tank as North American champion. But again, honestly, I am okay with whoever walks out as champion because I think both of them equally deserve it. I will be happy if Miles Bourne retains. I would be happy if Tavion becomes the new champion. To me, this is one of the only matches where I feel is a win-win. But I am gonna lock in Miles Bourne here because I think we still have some couple of plans left for him, in my personal opinion. Now we get into our two main title matches. First, we're going to talk about the NXT Women's Championship. The challenger being Kendall Gray, who won a number one contendership match, and the champion, Miss Lola Vice. We've kind of seen them go back and forth on the mic. Kendall ready to take the title, and Lola saying that Kendall needs to be humble because she, like Icarus, she is flying too close to the sun. I think this is going to be a really good match. And again, this is kind of a rematch from Stand and Deliver, but because that match was a triple threat where it included Lola, Kendall, and JC Jade, we're getting this rematch. I love Kendall. I think she brings something really unique and fresh to the NXT women's division. However, I am going to go with Lola Vice to retain the championship here. Like I said, when I was talking about the contract signing segment between Kendall and Lola, I think we still have a lot more to go for this championship reign for Lola. So I'm going to lock in Lola Vice here to retain the NXT Women's Championship. Finally, we get into our last match, which is for the NXT Championship. This is another title that was won at Stand and Deliver. So Tony D'Angelo Tony D'Angelo won the NXT Championship in the fatal four-way match that we had between him, Joe Hendry, Ethan Page, and Ricky Saints. And Tony D'Angelo ended up pinning Joe Hendry for that win. And this match, again, has been built. Mason Rook and Naraku fought for the number one contendership. Naraku won thanks to distraction from Cam Hendricks, who has been getting in Mason's business. And this whole entire time, Tony has not trusted Naraku. He knows that some shenanigans were going to come down, and this episode proved it. We officially got Naraku established as the heel and that the nice guy act is not here. And so here's the thing. I think Tony has worked really hard to become NXT champion. I ultimately think that he has deserved it and he has earned it. However, I do foresee that one of the main titles has to change hands. And I don't think Lola's title is changing hands, but I do see the NXT Men's Championship changing hands. So I'm gonna go on my Nostradamus pick and just go balls to the wall with this one. I'm gonna pick Naraku to become the NXT champion. I ultimately think that we need one of these championships to be a heel. And I think that between all the championship matches that we're getting, I think one of the titles has to change hands besides the Speed Championship. So I'm going to go with Naraku here. And I think that leads to a program with him and Tony wanting a rematch. And then Mason, after he's done with Jackson Drake, him and Naraku go and fight for it as well. But that, my friends, is the end of our NXT The Great American Bash predictions. Again, there's a lot of wrestling happening this weekend. Of course, Saturday, we have the Night of Champions for WWE main roster. And then Sunday, you got 3 shows. You got TNA Slammiversary happening at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Then NXT's The Great American Bash at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. And then finally, it's AEW CMLL's New Japan Pro Wrestling and Stardom's Forbidden Door pay-per-view, which will be happening at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. So it's going to be a good time. But we are going to be back in 2 weeks for NXT, as I will be on vacation next week. But when we come back in 2 weeks, we will be covering the Great American Bash. And then we'll also be talking about the June 30th episode, I believe, of NXT in 2 weeks as well. So it's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. But that is going to be it for us here at NXT Los. I will be back later this evening to talk some CMLL with Will. But until then, thank you so much for tuning in from all of us at BC Wrestle Pod to you at. Remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. I'll see you at 8 p.m. Pacific later tonight for our CMLL post show, where we're going to be talking about Fantastica Mania. But until then, adios, and until next time.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's gonna happen next time? Well, you're gonna have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.